Welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we cut through the bullshit
Greggy,
so we can get naked.
you can't say that.
Why not? How would you say it then?
Well, maybe more like, welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we undress emotionally so we can undress physically.
That's exactly what I said. Not sure what the problem is. Welcome to episode number
51.
We are nearly there. Hey, I just wanted to remind everybody, we have a special going on here for our celebration of episode number 52. 1 whole year of podcast. Can you believe that?
Bravo.
Next week, when we record our podcast and publish it, down in that notes, whenever you listen to your podcast, there will be a special link down there. That link will take you to a form to be able to fill out. And when you fill out that form, you will be submitted into a contest to win 3 free coaching sessions.
Which is the value of $450.
We think it's much more valuable than that.
Well, obviously.
But the actual amount that you would pay for those 4 sessions is $450.
For those 3 sessions.
3 sessions. I'm starting to give more away. Look at that.
Yes.
I just want to give it all away. But we want to celebrate 1 year of podcasts, and we would love to do this. And it doesn't matter if you are a current client today or not. If you are, we'll just add that to whatever package you have today. And if you're not, then we'll just give you those 3 free sessions.
Yep.
So please look for it next week on episode number 52.
In the description, go fill out the form. You'll be entered in the drawing.
Awesome.
Feel free to tell your friends too.
Yes.
Someone is hesitant about paying or not sure if coaching really works or maybe unsure about us. Try us out.
Yep.
3 free sessions.
It's a no lose, only a win-win. We like those. Nothing to lose here. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. You just have to submit that form and you'll be entered. All right. This week, we are going to continue on a topic that we think is pretty darn awesome. And we're going to talk a little more about Aros. We talked a lot about it in our last podcast, but we want to continue to talk a little more about how do we go about creating this Aros energy in our lives, especially when we're in a long-term relationship.
I see a lot of couples who enter this midlife, right? Kids, bills, house responsibilities, a mortgage, jobs. Sometimes both of them are employed, sometimes one, sometimes they're working together, running a business. Lots of different situations there, but it's busy.
Yeah.
Life gets very full and very busy. And what falls off is eroticism. And what couples expect is that they'll be able to have this passion level that they see in the movies, which, by the way, isn't like normal daily couples intercourse. It's like, the
Movie intercourse.
movie intercourse. And so, anyways, eroticism falls off. And couples expect that they'll just be able to do all day long, hit the bedroom and produce eroticism. And that's really unfair.
Hey, babe, let's go back just for everyone that's listening, especially if they're coming on here right now, and talk about what we define as eroticism. There's a lot out there that talks about erotic, and it's kind of become a dirty word,
Right.
And means different things. So let's give them the definition of what we think eroticism means.
Eroticism is a life force, a life vibrancy, a life energy. And it is what keeps the spark, the joy, the light alive in you and also in your relationship. And in a marriage relationship, it is tied to the way you interact with each other. It is tied to the physical affection you have together. And obviously it's tied into sexuality, with sexuality being one of the spaces where you can most enter into this feeling of life vibrancy.
Yeah, I think over the years it's been confused because it's only been tied to the sexual part, right? We talk about eroticism and erotic, and that's where it's kind of got its dirty name from. But really, we talk about it as a life-giving force tied to everything. Like, what just brings you alive? What makes you happy? What makes you glad you're here on earth? And oftentimes we can do that as individuals. We have those life-giving forces that we do, what we enjoy. We've talked about in our last couple of podcasts is oftentimes we have to focus on that, bringing that back into each individual, having them find the thing that brings them spark life again. So we can bring that back to the bedroom. So we can bring back to the marriage. And when we do that, that allows that eroticism, that same life-giving form of, hey, I love to go on walks and look at trees and see
Yes.
green things.
Yes.
I love that. That's what brings me life.
Or
Taking that same energy and bringing it back to the marriage and bringing it back to the bedroom.
yes, yes. It's not something, Eros energy isn't something that you can force. It isn't something that you can push. It isn't something that you can say, okay, I'm going to make this goal and I'm just going to produce.
Hates it.
It's not about production
Or measurement.
or measurements. It can't be forced. It can't be produced. It is inherently part of something that you genuinely desire or seek, or that entices or inspires or lifts you up. And so you can't force that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the problems, is that we do get so busy and we do these things that we've lost our own desires for other things besides even sex and intimacy. And then we go in the bedroom and expect that we're just going to ignite it and it's going to respond. It does not want to perform or respond in any way.
Right.
Put boundaries around it, boxes. It's something that we have to bring to the marriage and cultivate together. And that's why it's so important to clear out all these other pockets in our lives. And we've talked about in a lot of our podcasts, let's take care of our own shit first, right? Figure out where we're at and what brings us life so that we can bring this back together and collaborate it. And when it's there and we're collaborating and we're allowed to naturally let it grow, it's quite amazing.
I think one of the things we don't talk about a lot too is when you allow for your own Eros energy, what brings you vibrancy, life, what brings you joy, what, brings that spark, you become more like magnetic and attractive.
Yeah.
And so you like yourself more, you have more regard for yourself, you enjoy being yourself more. And all of those types of things, like having a good self-regard, enjoying being yourself, permission to listen to yourself, permission to follow your desires, all of those are a really great foundation for bringing that into sexuality.
Yeah, you dropped something, I think. I can't remember if it was last podcast or the podcast before, that I thought was really tantalizing. We didn't really pick up on it there. And maybe I want to pick up on there now. I think you're 100% right. When we pick those things up and bring them back in our life, we become more attractive.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that allows us to do that is when our spouse gives us the space to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about how we try to control our own anxiety by controlling what that spouse is going to do, what they're going to look like, how they're going to interact with us, the things they're going to go do, how much time they might spend away from us.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest changes in our marriage, I think, was when you realized Greg doesn't have the same interests as I have, and that's okay. And I'm going to give him space, and it's not permission because you don't have permission.
Yeah,
But when
don't
you
need my permission.
when you're able to do the things you love without worrying about the impact it's having or
Resentment.
resentment it's going to have on your spouse,
Yes.
it really allows you to cultivate those things you love.
Yes.
And you might be going after and doing them. And if your spouse is sitting there with their arms crossed thinking, I hate this because it takes time away from me and they need to be with me and doing all these other things that I think they need to do, that doesn't allow for that space to grow. So again, I'm not putting that there that you should go just like, give me the space to do my Aros things. That's not what I'm saying. But it is a part of it when the spouse is able to see what those things that bring their partner life are. And if they're not things that they enjoy, so be it. Allow them to do it. Walks. Amy loves to go on walks. And we've talked about this before. She would get so mad because she keep on asking me. And I would eventually go on them out of obligation, not because I wanted to. And it was resentment, right? And when she finally realized, oh, Greg doesn't like walks, but I do, that's fine. That just brought her alive. And I gave her space to go do walks and I wasn't resentful. And it's that collaboration between spouse. Yes, you need to take ownership of what brings life, but it makes a huge difference if you can see your partner's Eros giving events and things they can do in their lives, and you can support that.
Right. And obviously at different stages and places in your life, there may be more or less room for this. I don't know that in the newborn phase, when we had really, really young children, that there was a lot of room for things like this. So they may be very small. It might be a few minutes a day just to read something or to watch a sunset or to enjoy a little clip. Like obviously at different points in life, there's more or less room for this.
That is so true. I just had two things come back in my mind of our early marriage. One, I used to try to golf and I was really bad at it. In fact, one of the guys at work that golfed with me laughs at me because he's the only time I've ever seen a putt go backwards when I was putting one time. So that's how bad it was. But I remember there was one time we were saying, maybe this isn't the phase of life that we have the resources, time, or money to go do this. I think that was one. Another one was motorcycles.
Mm. When
And
you
I
crashed.
wrecked it. And I think Amy reminded me this may not be the phase of life that I should be on the back of a motorcycle.
I think Megan was just born. So we had our third child. She was a young baby, and you crashed the night before Mother's Day.
Yeah, bad job, guys. Don't crash the night before Mother Day.
And I was thinking, motorcycles may not be the best thing for this phase of life. I really kind of need a husband here and a father
When
for
I
these
called her, she
young
didn't
kids.
ask if I was okay. She said, it's gone. Now, not the right way to respond, spouses, by the way. That was not the right way to respond.
No.
And I was okay. I just severely twisted my ankle, which was lucky because I did lay it down
I
pretty
think
good.
your pride was wounded more than
Oh, it was
anything.
definitely wounded. I was on a ride with my brother and my neighbor that had the same motorcycles going down the mountainside. And
Wasn't it my brother's, not yours?
no, it was my brother. It was
Oh,
all, we were
okay.
all on our three matching motorcycles, same color and everything. We went up the mountain in San Diego and we're coming back down. And I'll tell you a little pride story. When I got myself in trouble is we were all on sport bikes and we were coming down the mountainside and this guy on a Honda, not real sports bike, comes flying by us. And I'm like, what? And that's when I picked up the pace a little bit, maybe a little too much.
Yes.
My competitiveness got me again.
And now you race on your sim where when you crash, which happens a lot, which so much
What?
so that my son, I love this, he put a little
Doesn't happen
sticky
that
note
much.
on his sim racer to remind him to finish first, you must first
You
finish.
first must finish. To finish first, you first must finish. I read that every time I get on.
Because Greggy gets a little
I might be aggressive,
aggressive and then crashes and doesn't finish the race.
competitive. Anyway.
Anyways,
So
we
we got a little off track, but I think it really is an important part of this conversation that we have is that we need to find our own Aros giving events and things in life that we love to do and hook back up to those and bring those back into our lives and find time for them. And as spouses, if we can be curious enough to go find out what those are in our spouse and find out ways that we can support them, then that will allow them to bring that. And it pays off all the dividends in the world because that's what allows them to bring that back to the marriage. And when you have two people doing the things that bring them life and joy, and they bring that back to the marriage, that's a perfect combination to make a great marriage.
I think I'm just going to say one last thing on this, then I have another important point. I think something that happens to a lot of couples and marriages is we tend to have a more child focused parenting style now. And we will enroll our children into so many activities
Do anything for them.
that there isn't room left for each individual spouse. And so we had a healthier balance when we also had a healthier balance about what our children were doing and recognizing isn't necessary for them to do everything and that we still mattered too.
Yeah. And we're not saying we did this right. We did it really wrong for a long time. And it is right. When we finally figured out we were a little bit further along in life, we still were pretty busy because we had a lot of teenage kids when we kind of figured out, and now they've grown up. And so I am admitting we're in a better place in life where we can give ourselves space for this. But I had a coaching call with an individual, and she is in the throes of it. Young kids, working full time, and just so busy. And she had no idea what brought her life. And so I asked her to go, write those down. Write down your desires. Find the things that really brighten your life. And it was the simplest things. Like, I like not a lot of people, but I like a few friends. So guess what? I went and just contacted my 3 friends, and I love to go walking. And so we went walking every day. Easy enough, an hour, not every day. I don't think she went one day every day, maybe 2 or 3 hours a week, right? Something easy to get in. I love music. I've stopped playing the piano. I decided I'm going to play the piano again. So it doesn't have to be these huge things that take big time and money and resources. Maybe those things can't happen in this stage of life. But the simplest things, our favorite story of Green, the gal that Amy coached, and all she could think of was green, and how that tied these things back in life and found her joy again when there was no joy to be found.
Yeah. So I think there's always in Eros, it's tending to your own personal light and life energy. And then that's what you can bring and contribute to a relationship. And I think within the marriage, it's working as a partnership to make sure there's room for the marriage. I do see a lot of very high achieving couples, which I get, I'm a high achiever, but there's this misconception that they can achieve and achieve and achieve without replenishing themselves. And just having a little, and this again, these aren't big things. These are just like a small daily ritual, a small daily space, a small room for you to exist and cultivate that personal spark and joy and permission to be you.
Right. And I think we see oftentimes too the formula that people apply in their work lives or professional lives, especially in business. If they're working together in business, we have tons of couples that work in business.
A
It's a
lot of
dichotomy that
couples.
is great and is also damaging when it
It's
can
really
be.
difficult. Yeah.
When you try to take that and you're very successful at it, especially those people that can control the situation they're in and be
You mean
very
successful
successful
in
in
business?
business or in their
Mm-hmm.
professional life or everything else, they try to take the same patterns they've learned in business and apply it to a marriage. And it just does not work because it destroys that Eros. It destroys the freedom of the other person. Because number one thing about marriage and why it exposes you, why it's so difficult at times, is because you cannot control the other person. And as soon as you do, all Eros energy between the two are gone,
Right.
right? Gone.
So I see in a lot of the couples I coach that run businesses together, they're able to say set a goal, which is great in business, is amazing. And then they take these steps towards this goal and wonderful, right? They can drive, they can push, they can just really like focus in on this goal. That's great. It really works well in business. But you can't focus or force or make a goal to produce arrows. It's
Right.
something more you have to allow and create space for. You can't push it.
Yeah. And those are the people that usually come to us and want the 10 steps on how to have better sex.
Yeah.
They're like, just give me 10 steps. I'll follow them. I'll be perfect at it.
They're very good at taking
They're
steps.
very good at it. And then we're like, if I had the 10 steps to have better sex, then I wouldn't probably I'd probably be on a beach somewhere doing nothing with a horse or something. I don't know. Because that would be a magic pill.
I do have, though, two steps I want to talk about today, two very simple steps
Right.
that I'm going to get to in just a minute. But again, they're very broad. So
yeah, what I'm
there's
trying
a
to
lot
say
of
is you
room
can't control with those steps, right? It's
right.
Jennifer, I think, says it. Jennifer Finlayson 5 says it the best, is like to have a true intimate relationship where this Eros can grow, you have to allow exposure.
Mhm.
You have to be able to expose yourself, all of yourself, and let your other person in your life know who you are and allow them to choose you. And most people don't want to pay the price of that.
And that price starts with first knowing yourself.
Yep.
And that's what you've got to have. That Eros is that link back into knowing your desires, knowing yourself, allowing yourself to be a self so that you're not trying to extract it from the other.
Yeah. Yeah. We saw it in our patterns over and over again, right? I was definitely trying to extract a self through Amy. Everyone, validation everywhere.
So let's switch gears for just a minute. Last podcast, I talked about Steven Snyder's book. He's also a sex therapist in Manhattan. Love Worth Making. And he talks about how to have ridiculously great sex in long-term monogamous relationships. And what he points out, I really love and recommend this book. So all of you just go out and get it, go read it. There's so much in there. And I could probably do 20 podcast episodes on it.
I haven't read it, but I recommend it too, because the benefits of Amy reading it has been very good for me.
So, one of the things that he points out again is that couples expect this Eros energy, this eroticism to just be there at the end of a long day. And that's really an unfair expectation. However, there are ways to simply create space, to create room for it in your marriage, and to remember that it takes that room and space. Like, this is a natural way that Eros energy functions in a relationship. And so he calls this simmering. And simmering means you spend time just connecting physically in a way that reminds you and your spouse, like, yes, we have this connection of life between us. We have this physical connection. We have this emotional connection. We are choosing each other. And again, this doesn't need to be more than 5 minutes. He talks about in the book, he gives the example of a husband leaving for work. His wife with young children is still in bed, and he comes back to her, gives her a long, or they exchange like a really long kiss, reminds her that he loves her, she loves him, and they move on. And the purpose of this simmering is that it's completely illogical or impossible in these moments to have to force this or produce this to go anywhere towards, arousal or any type of intercourse. That's not the goal at all. The goal is to just light that spark. One couple I know does it by a little slow dance before they go to bed. Again, not intended to have to lead anywhere or to go anywhere. We talk about it in our daily ritual in the morning where we have a really intentional, it's more than a cuddle, it's like an embrace where we are really holding on to each other. And it's that reminder, like, we're in this together, we're creating this. And those little daily rituals of simmering, another couple I watched this beautiful movie on, they made it a goal to watch, or they intentionally decided every day they were going to watch the sunset together. And they sit there in companionable silence, sometimes sharing, sometimes not, and enjoy a sunset. And so it's like creating this space that you remember how you're connected and that energy that connects you.
Yeah, I can hear a lot of people out there screaming, well, how does that work? Especially if it's in a connective way that can be arousal or sexual or, we have this problem anywhere where we have this spontaneous person, a responsive person, and that gets us in trouble usually. And it did get us in trouble for a long time. We love to tell the story about me waking up every morning and rolling over and cuddling Amy and grabbing her boob, and she'd like be disgusted and mad at me. And how we
because
had
the
to,
grab was needy,
right.
and it was taking, and it was like overstepping.
Let me get there. Don't tell on me before I get there.
I'm sorry.
She's going to tell on me before I get there.
My apologies.
I was going to acknowledge my own problems here. It was because we hadn't found our own sexuality and understood who we were. We were in this very chasing, running away pattern, neediness, avoidance, all the things we talked about, right? We're in a very bad place that way. So yeah, when I rolled over and grabbed her, I always was begging and hoping that it was going to turn into something else. And so it was done out of neediness. I think over the last several years, we've changed that. And we've talked about that's become our ritual. But still, even then, Amy has been bringing up this subject to me of this simmering. And I didn't really understand it at first or understand how it could help in any way. And we kept talking about it and I kept thinking about it. And it really came about when I had my homework assignment that I gave myself a couple podcasts ago about stopping and thinking before I rolled over and started this ritual. Because usually I'm the one that wakes up first. I roll over and I start the ritual. Sometimes I've been awake for a little while.
Right.
I've been aroused for a little while before I get that.
Right.
And we talked about the problems of that. And like I said before last week, it really did change the way that I approached it when I stopped to think about where I was and processed through my emotions and came back to reality instead of the fantasy where I had solved the problem already and collaborated and just said, I want to hold you. And that got rid of the neediness. That was step number one. This last week or so, I've been really trying to focus on what does simmering look like and why would that be useful in this situation? And not only now, this week before, I stopped being in the future in the fantasy of, hey, I want this to go into some kind of sexual intercourse, or I want more out of this, or this is what I really want out of this situation. And being in the now and in the present, that really helped. But then I added this simmering part of it, or I said, no matter what I do here, my goal really is to have this moment of connection and that's it, right? And I'm going to feel everything and I'm going to take it all in and I'm going to literally breathe Amy in and enjoy the moment I have just to connect. And I am going to simmer. I am going to try this. And it's all right. No, it's not all right. It's amazing.
Like what?
It is absolutely fantastic. Unbelievable. So it's given so much space between us and choice to Amy that it's been mind-blowing, to be honest with you.
So Stephen Snyder says in his book something that I think we're really even coming to understand more. He says, let arousal take care of you.
Yeah. Instead of something to solve again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
arousal is enjoyable, it's pleasurable, it's not something that has to be solved. It's something that you can simmer in. It brings life. It is a part of Eros, and it doesn't have to be taken care of.
Mm.
It is something to be enjoyed. And so I think as a responsive desire spouse for a very long time, I was afraid of your arousal.
Yep.
But this idea of simmering is like, bring the arousal.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Enjoy that spark. It's a very energizing space. And
Well,
allow that to fill you, to take care of you, to light you up.
yeah. I'll let that Aros energy do what it will and not try to control it, I guess. We talked about in our last podcast about orgasm focused, right? And when we're so focused on the orgasm that we miss the meal.
Right. And you
And,
go only for the
and only for
dessert.
dessert. To me, it's even more than that. Like I'm just taking a little snack in the morning. Like, but it's so fulfilling and it's
Yes.
so just, I'm savoring it. Think of your favorite beverage or your favorite candy or your favorite thing to eat ever.
Instead of just gobbling it up
Yeah.
really quick, you get to savor it.
You bring it in and you
Notice the
taste it
textures and the
and
flavors.
what it
and
does to you afterwards. And
Yes.
to me, it was relinquishing the control of where it went from there and allowing it to go back to my responsive partner. And when she's simmering in that same way, and we're both simmering, I don't feel like I'm at the top of the stairs trying to drag you upstairs
Right. And
anymore.
I don't feel rushed or pushed or like I have to produce something. It's a very enjoyable space to be in when you understand how, I don't like, vibrant, life giving, joyful it is to be in this space. Now, I think you have to be very clear if you start something like this, whether it's simmering or a daily ritual, has to be very clear that there's no
Alternative
thank you.
motives.
There's no ulterior motive that you're not like, oh, let's pretend to simmer, but I'm really hoping to push you
And
somewhere.
you'll do it wrong. I've done it wrong a lot. And that's where you have to be in a good space of being able to catch that you're doing something wrong and be supportive of each other and not blame and to say, hey, this didn't go right. And that's okay. Let's figure out why it didn't go right and how. I just talked to a client that I hadn't talked to a long time. They've been doing pretty good and they had a pretty big event and they're like, this isn't working. And so I got a call from him and he says, I am at that place now. Now I still fall in and get in trouble, but this client was like, could not get past the point that he might not be perfect and that he just wouldn't do anything if he thought he was going to mess it up because he wanted to do it perfect. And just being able to see him get past the point of knowing, hey, I'm going to mess it up and that's fine. I'm going to think back about how I did it and learn from it. And so there will be like, I've messed it up tons of times. I did this wrong. I did it with alternative motives. I'd had neediness. And in between that, it felt all right, but I could never figure out, okay, what's the difference between those times and this times? And that's really what we work through. So there's going to be this pattern of you're going to F it up and don't go into it saying, I'm not going to want to ever do it because I might mess it up or go into it saying I have to do it perfect. This is an experience you get to do with each other and to learn and grow and be curious about the things that are happening to you while you do it because you are going to mess it up. But in between those times and when you start figuring it out, it is absolutely fantastic. So I know every one of our spontaneous friends out there has said this to themselves or maybe to your partner and pissed your partner off when you said it to them. I wish you would initiate. Why do you not initiate? And we've talked about in the past how it's almost impossible for them to do that because of the state they're in, because it takes them time to respond. Well, guess what, my friends? I found the way to give them the golden nugget. How do you give them time to respond? You simmer. You go into it knowing that I am going to be just okay if all we do is cuddle and touch a little bit here. And even if I get aroused, that's fine. It's not something I have to fix. I'm just going to enjoy it.
Enjoy the
And so we
arousal.
simmer. For the first time in my marriage, Amy grabbed me and initiated. Like she was like, I got to have this. And I'm
Not
like,
the first time.
I can't remember. I remember every one. I have every sexual encounter cataloged in my mind. And I went back through them. I couldn't remember one quite like that. It was, oh my gosh, I want you. And that's what everything, I've spent 27 years wanting that. 27 years wanting that. And I couldn't get the hell out of the way.
Let me go back just a little bit. What the simmering allows for is really a space of acceptance. And I think what we want more than anything as spouses is to be able to bring ourself to the other person and to feel acceptance. Yes, you need to have your own self-regard. Yes, you need to be willing to be vulnerable. But in the end, we want this space where we can be ourselves and with the other, right? And this little simmering allows that in daily little doses. And as that daily deposit is made, I feel like it helps cement that acceptance, that eros that allows for the other moments to follow.
I think we fell into this on accident. I will definitely say this. No, 100%. It is the hand and glove to our emotional connection that we do every night. It's our emotional download connection. And it really is the kind of cement that cements that.
I read a quote and I think this quote like nails it. And I think it's the link between emotions and sex. Mae West said, sex is emotion in motion.
Yeah, it's the action of emotion.
Mm-hmm. And when you're comfortable enough to be in your emotion and have enough differentiation to also be present with your partner's emotion, then you're able to move forward and have that arousal and that eros and that desire be accepting and joyful and fulfilling. Where when you are in a power struggle or you're fighting or you're trying to take or extract, then that's what sex becomes.
Right. I think it goes back to what you said before, which I thought was brilliant. We probably should coin it because anyone who steals it, I'm going to kill him. Eros, arousal amplifies whatever emotion you're feeling. I was like, oh my gosh, Amy, I just blow my mind. I listened to it 3 times. I'm like, that is brilliant. And it really does amplify where you are emotionally. So when we're checking in at night together and we're talking about our emotions and we're sharing it, we're checking in and we're processing through them. We're processing through the emotions that are brought up by our spouse, sharing our emotions with us. And we're getting through those and processing those. And I think that's beautiful and great. The connection that's happened now for me is that could do that and I would still have this problem in the morning when we had this ritual of connecting, not being in the present, using my own erotic mind to do fantasies and take me into somewhere else. I feel like doing the homework assignment has kind of fixed that about me sitting in and filling out where I am in my head and my fantasies and getting to a centered spot. And like, this is, to me, has been the kind of the coin on the top of it, the cherry on top of the cake. Well, I don't care what analogy you use, but this has kind of been the last step. Is even when I was in that space and I wanted to co-collaborate with Amy, co-create, it was good. And it definitely changed the way that she felt. And I knew I wasn't being amplifying neediness. I was coming in a clean space. But this simmering is just like the final fine touch that was missing because it gave Amy the space to be aroused and the choice to be aroused.
Without pressure, without pushing.
I was okay with no matter what happened because if it just ended up being a snuggle and a hold, that was 100% fine. In fact, I told her, I said, last time I was just going to try to simmer what's going on here. Because it ended up more than simmering. I'm like, whoa, I was just trying to simmer over there. You got to take it from me. You're so needy. I didn't complain. Just kidding.
No, you didn't complain. So when the simmering starts to happen, again, now you're emotionally connecting, you're feeling acceptance, you're feeling those little doses of Eros energy. And Dr. Schneider talks about in his book the way that he helps couples then, at the end of a long day, couples who are sharing a mortgage and children and life and all of the activities and bills. And there often needs to be like a little transition in order for there to be sexual intimacy. And so this is sort of his general layout that I think we have kind of done without even realizing it. So I love that it's a little more clarified here. 2 very basic steps.
Oh, to your steps. I told him that you can't give him steps. No, you're going to give him steps.
These are very broad and very basic. And the first step is to spend time opening up, especially for responsive desire, which is usually women. We tend to have a lot of tabs open in our mind, and we can't just go from all the tabs to no tabs. I think that sometimes some men transition a little easier in this because arousal tends to take focus. So you get aroused and, your focus is there. But for women, and especially responsive desire, it takes a little bit of a transition. And so this can look like just laying in the bed breathing. This can look like
Emotional download.
It can look like an emotional download. It can look like laughing together. It's time to close all your tabs, to be in the present moment. In his book, he shared for one woman, sometimes she had to just cry. Like, just let some things
Let it go.
Let it go. I remember when we were first kind of learning about intimacy and how to improve our sexual intimacy. Anytime you started to touch me, a lot of emotions would come up. And again, it's because sex is emotion in motion.
Those breaks that Emily Nagoski talked about, right?
And I had to just, like, all of a sudden, I would be flooded with so many emotions. And I had to just make room for them. And they weren't like, they were different. Like,
that was all bad, wasn't good.
It wasn't all bad. It was like, it's just a whole variety of emotions that would just flood me. And it was like, I couldn't avoid them. I had to just make space for them.
I think now that you're talking about them, it kind of sounds like you were so busy going throughout the day, go, that you were a little detached those emotions, not feeling them through the day, not knowing they were there. And my literally touching you was the grounding.
Yeah.
Where it brought you back to all those emotions that you'd kind of been pushed down, and they started flooding back up.
Right. And so,
yeah, I think you spent now you're getting good at processing those throughout the day.
Right. But I still feel like there is a transition for me. And he talks about, couples just lying on the mattress and feeling the weight of the mattress, noticing their breathing. Sometimes they're clothed, sometimes they're naked. It's more about bringing your focus to the present.
Yeah.
And in order to get to the present moment, sometimes you got to go through some things.
My homework assignment, right? That's
right.
Yeah.
Like, you have to center yourself. And so this would be a time for whether you're responsive or spontaneous. It's kind of like getting back to yourself, getting back to your body, getting back to your senses. Maybe you meditate together. Maybe you breathe together. Maybe you look at each other's eyes for a little bit. Maybe you joke. Maybe you share just what, not
read
a heavy,
something, or
maybe you read something,
watch something.
It doesn't necessarily need to be like a heavy, big discussion, but you just allow yourself to get to the present moment. And what you'll notice is usually after allowing that, maybe that takes 10 minutes, maybe that takes 15 minutes, you'll start to notice a stillness. And maybe in that stillness or in that presence, just a little bit of spark or arousal or desire or wanting, or maybe it'll be cherishing, or maybe it'll be gratitude. And that's when you go to step 2 and you let arousal fill you. You let it take care of you. You let it nourish you. You don't have to push. You don't have to force.
Don't have to solve.
You don't have to solve.
And my favorite quote from Amy so far: if you get it up, you have to get it down.
You don't have to get anything up or down. You just get to be present. That's what Eros demands. Again, Eros will not conform to goals. Eros will not conform to being pushed, to being produced. It is something that you allow to fill you.
It comes from your true self.
Yeah.
That's why you can't control it, because it is ultimately who you are and the things that bring you life. And in that moment, you can't go change that because you've had a life, right? They've built that over the time. So it's literally, if you try to control it and change what it is or bring it to the surface and call upon it, it's going to never happen.
And if in step 1, there's any numbness or dissociation or emotional pain, those need to be dealt with first. You stop. You don't go to step 2. You've got to be able to be present and accept the moment, accept your senses, accept your emotions, or maybe the circumstances of where your life is at. And that's what then allows the arousal to fill you. And if you only are practicing just getting to presence in step 1, awesome. Great.
We did that for a long, thought like
We did.
We haven't solved it. We haven't fixed it. We're not perfect, but
But we
I
did
think
have to learn
we've
how to
learned through these phases. Yeah.
be
Yeah.
present. And we've also learned that this is supposed to be enjoyable. And if at any moment it's not, you stop
Right.
immediately. If there's numbness, if there's dissociation, because that's what I was doing. I was going numb. I was dissociating. I was just producing. I was servicing. Eros will never be present. If there is anything that is not allowing you to be in the present moment or is causing you pain, whether physical or emotional, you have to stop
Yeah.
immediately, address it, heal it, work with it. There's a lot of healing in Eros energy. So sometimes like a lot of women I work with have a very ruptured relationship with their body. Some men too. This isn't just related to women, but it's almost in every single woman that there is dissatisfaction or judgment or negativity around their body. And I think that there's a lot in sexuality that can actually heal that when you allow yourself to be present. You allow yourself to enjoy the container that you get to live your life through. And as you do that, there is a lot of healing in that. I actually think that a lot of my dissociation, judgment, discouragement with my body was healed from being able to just be present with it and receive like you have this adoration for me that kind of blows my mind, and be able to
Only you could
just
see through my eyes.
receive that. And so I'm not saying that, so discomfort, like a little discomfort, like I was just like a little bit uncomfortable, maybe like that vulnerable discomfort, that's okay. But if you are like totally dissociating or numb or having any kind of pain, you need to stop.
Yeah. And from the other spouse, I would say both. From the spontaneous responsive, that's the truth. If you're having that as a spontaneous person too, but us spontaneous people probably could override it with our high desire and get over it. And so I say what you need to prepare yourself for is that if it comes to the point where you need to stop, that it doesn't mean something about you. You can be disappointed. Don't disassociate yourself, because that's what oftentimes where my clients go to. Like, well, now I can't be disappointed. Now I have to be happy that we stopped having sex, or, stop having this arousal moment. No, you can be disappointed. Like I was disappointed because I wanted to be aroused and be with you and close to you. So continue. You can have that disappointment. But don't make it mean something about you, that you're broken and there's something wrong, or that your spouse doesn't choose you, or she would never choose you. That's where we take it, is that validation that we're seeking when we're not centered in ourselves, when we have to stop because there's something at that moment that's happening that we need to take care of. It means something bad about us.
He also has this one last quote, which I feel like sort of embodies Eros and it embodies really healthy sexuality. He says, the only good reason to have intercourse is because you want to.
Yeah. Period.
Period.
Full stop.
And so allowing for want to happen on its own is what these two steps are kind of about, right? Like, this isn't about forcing, this isn't about producing, but it's about allowing yourself to be in a space to reconnect with, why would you want this? What do you want in this? What is replenishing and good for you? And finding that, so that Eros, which is inherently within us, but we do a lot of things to destroy it.
Yeah.
And so it's allowing like that positive relationship with Eros to be created.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We do all kinds of stuff to destroy it. And the crazy thing, we do it in the name of what we want, which is really Eros and chosen, right? So it's the number one thing we want, and we do all the things to destroy it because we just don't know. We haven't been taught. We haven't centered ourselves. There's so many pieces of this. So take that in mind. This is not an easy thing. Marriage is not for the weak of heart, right? It's not just get together and we're happy for the rest of our lives. It exposes the greatest things in us that we don't want exposed. And we have the opportunity to decide what we're going to do about it. And that's where the happiness of marriage is found, not in this peaceful bliss of someone just loves you no matter what and you're never exposed. It's being exposed and how we handle that.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can handle that together, that's where the greatest joys come from. That's where we're allowed to take our Eros energy and now bring it to each other and share it in a deeper way.
I think when you use those disappointments, discouragements, when you use those gridlocks and see that there's an opportunity for learning, for creativity, for development, when you see like beyond them,
Right.
that's when you really start creating the thriving.
Yeah. It's when we F it up, it's not means there's something wrong with us. It just gives us another chance to try again
Yeah.
and learn and get better from it. And so this week, go have at it. You're going to mess it up. There'll be some fun times. There'll be some challenging times, I promise.
Give yourself a chance to simmer, maybe just with yourself if you feel like you aren't capable with your spouse, or make an invitation to your spouse to have a little space every day to be with each other with no demand or expectation.
That is the
attached.
number one thing. Get rid of the outcomes that you're expecting. The only outcome you're expecting is to literally enjoy the moment. That's it. If it is just a little enjoyment of being able to breathe in your spouse and appreciate that they're next to you, that's awesome. And that's what you get. And love it and appreciate it. And so just get rid of those expectations. Get rid of them.
Expectations kill arrows.
They can't handle them.
They can't.
So we challenge you, go do it. Go try it out.
Go simmer or try out your 2 steps.
And we know that there's a lot of things that have to be worked through to get to this point. And, we're so blessed to have people that worked with us and loved us and coached us and brought us back when we tried something and we were told we tried, but you totally just did it wrong. And like, oh shoot, we just did it wrong. And
But really, that's how you learn.
but it's how you learn. But we were blessed because we had people along the way that helped us. It took us a while to find those. There was no resources for a very long time. And that was a very frustrating thing. And we were very lost.
Yes.
But when we did find those resources, we were blessed to have them. And so we really just want to help in any way we can. And if we can be that resource for you to help you through those items that you can't get through yourself, because there are items that we needed help with that we couldn't figure out ourselves, we would love to do that. So please join us on langfordlifecoaching.com. There's a free consult button that we would love to chat with you, any of you. Just please go push that button, sign up. We'd love to have a 45-minute chat with you and talk through where you're at and where are some of the stumbling blocks for you in this process, because there's a lot of work to put in, but the benefits are so worth it. And we feel so blessed. So enjoy your week. Next week, there'll be a little link. Enter that contest. And we appreciate everyone. And until next time,
Keep undressing your intimacy.
bye-bye.